And he was handed the book of the prophet Isaiah. And he goes and he scrolls, he unrolls this thing, and he goes right to Isaiah 61. And he reads these verses. And he reads a verse that says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach the gospel." I'm going to stop there because we live in a day and age in Christianity in America where most people, most churches just stop right there. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because the Spirit has anointed me to preach the gospel. And so churches, biblical churches, preach the gospel. We stand up every single Sunday in our midweeks and other services and we proclaim the reality of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And people's need for a personal response to that proclamation. And you know what? That's what we're supposed to do. But that's not all we're supposed to do. Because that reality, that Jesus Christ, God's only Son, was born of a virgin, lived on the earth a perfect life, died a death for others, and was risen from the dead. That's the gospel. But that gospel has such radical social implications. The verse doesn't end there. It says that we should preach the gospel or the good news to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, the recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, and to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. Brothers and sisters, what good is it to have faith and not works? I mean, isn't the book of James about that? The whole book? That true faith works. True belief in Jesus has implications. And if you notice this, when we think of the Spirit of the Lord in our day, we think of the Lord giving us some gift, some supernatural gift, and He does that. But in this passage that Jesus read, notice that the Spirit of the Lord, He bestows gifts for other people. Look, just follow Him. He anointed me to preach who? To the poor. To heal who? The brokenhearted. To proclaim liberty to who? To the captives. The recovery of sight to who? To the blind. To set at liberty who? Those who are oppressed. See, the reality is that we live in a radically individualistic, narcissistic, entitled culture and age. And we ask the Holy Spirit to come upon us so that we can feel personally blessed. But the Spirit of God anoints so that others would be blessed through the blessing of His presence in our lives. See, we live in a day and age of a lot of turmoil, don't we? People are arguing about the government. Bigger government, smaller government, government-sponsored health care. What I have found is that rather engaging in those debates, I see that as a radically biblical accusation against the church. Because we shouldn't need the government to be involved. Because the people of God should take the blessings of God and turn them outward to meet the world at its place of pain. We shouldn't need the government to be dealing with health care because the people of God, because of Jesus, because we read things that the Spirit has anointed me to see the recovery of sight to the blind. Poverty, illiteracy, affordable health care. These should be the darling projects of the people of God because they're people problems. But the church is more content to argue theology, to write books, to build bigger buildings, nicer decorations, softer chairs, rather than saying the world is in pain and that's why Jesus came. to reconnect us with God, but also to radically affect human interactions. Jesus anoints us to change the world in his name. For so long, there's been a separation where you have the cross-centered churches, where they proclaim Jesus and the need to be saved, and then the kingdom-minded churches, which the kingdom-minded churches, they want to see things change. They're mutually exclusive. And so you have the cross-centered churches who we just preach the cross, but they don't actually do anything to help the society except try to save souls. Or you have they want to see the kingdom come, so they want to help society, but they're almost ashamed to preach the cross. So they'd rather do that instead. What's beautiful about today is that God is bringing those two together. We want to change the world and meet the world at its place of pain because of the cross. Unashamedly, we are here because of Jesus. Jesus died and rose again, and we want to meet the world at its place of pain. At its place of pain because of Jesus, because of the cross, because of the resurrection. And we want to live kingdom-centered lives because of the centrality